So let's move to talking about the Archive of American Television and how you got involved. You said you got a phone call when the box came out.
Got a phone call right after the box came out, and I think it may have been Janet Blake, I can't remember, and she said, "We read your book and we loved the book and we want to do this for TV. We want to preserve all these voices and we want to get them down and we want to tell it in a way that's different. We don't want to do excerpts, we want to do long form. And it's really important that we preserve these voices just like you're doing. And how do we go about doing it? How do we go about talking to these people and getting these people to sit down?" And they came to New York. It may have been Dean Valentine, I can't remember. And we sat down and I told them how I went about writing the book. Invariably, what happens when anybody talks to me about craft or process, they come away less than impressed. So they see the book, they think the book is great, then they meet me and they go, "Well, yeah, okay," you know, they immediately have sort of better ideas, which is fine. I make no pretense, as I said. And they went back and they started the archive. And I gave them a list of people who they should talk to, who I thought should be interviewed.
With contact info or just a list of
I
names?
think it was a list of names and whatever contact info I had. And they formed the archive, and I bowed out. Michael was insistent, and Michael, we went down to New Jersey, and he came east, and then it got really interesting because we started to work through my list. And I said to Michael, listen, I understand that you have commercial pressures, that the board is saying, look, we have to do Mary Tyler Moore or somebody like that because that's going to sell the archive. And I said, I get that, but if you don't get to these people, they're unique, they're gone. And you've got to get to them you got to get to them now, because they're the only ones who remember the early days of TV. They're in their 90s. Yeah, they're not going to sell anything, but if you don't get to them, you're lost. They're lost. And Michael was good about it. He would knit in the interviews that I would insist he do, but along with more commercial people. There was that sort of central conflict about the archive, which was me saying, you got to get all these people, and the board saying, no, we want to get people we can sell to sell the archive. Well, eventually they got through almost my entire list, I think, without missing too many people. And some of them I did in the beginning, and I sort of enjoyed doing them. And then I got busy and I couldn't really do them. But some people I had met for the first time, that was always wonderful. And they eventually just stopped, doing the interviews. And then Michael, who could be sort of uncommonly generous, I was living up in Westchester, and I had another time in my life where I just had no money. And the only thing I had of value at that point was a brick from Ebbets Field that my grandfather had gotten, and my tapes of all the TV interviews I had done for the box. And Michael offered to buy them. And it's not anything the archive did, and I don't know if they were or would be of any use to anybody, but he did that as an act of generosity, I think, to me. And it took me months to try to organize them. I had them laid out on the floor of my basement, trying to figure out who was on what interview and everything. But eventually, I was, able to put together enough information where they become some use, and we shipped them all off to Michael, and that's where you have the collection out there.